from playful pranks to global threats, charting the evolution of cybercrime. The digital world, once a playground for tech enthusiasts, has undergone a dramatic transformation. What began as harmless pranks and mischief has morphed into a complex web of sophisticated criminal activity. In the nascent years of the internet, hacking was often driven by curiosity, a desire to explore the boundaries of this new frontier. These early hackers were often tech-savvy individuals, driven more by intellectual curiosity than malicious intent. As technology advanced, so too did the capabilities and intent of those who sought to exploit it. The emergence of malware, viruses, worms, and trojans marked a turning point. These malicious programs, designed to disrupt or steal data, signaled a shift towards more sinister motives. The digital landscape was no longer a playground. It was becoming a battleground. The lines blurred further with the rise of hacktivism. Groups like Anonymous, driven by political or social agendas, employed cyber attacks as a means of protest and disruption. Website defacement, denial of service attacks, and data leaks became tools for making political statements, bringing a new dimension to cyber threats. The motivations behind cyber attacks were no longer limited to personal gain. Ideology was now a driving force. The transformation of cybercrime reached a new level of sophistication with the involvement of organized crime. Criminal syndicates, recognizing the lucrative potential of the digital world, established sophisticated operations. Cybercrime became a business with specialized roles, hierarchical structures, and global networks. Cybercrime as a service models emerged, making sophisticated tools and techniques available to even low-level criminals. The digital underworld mirrored the physical world of organized crime, with its own set of rules, hierarchies, and power dynamics. To truly grasp the magnitude of the cyber threat, we must look beyond individual actors and delve into the intricate workings of the cybercriminal ecosystem. This ecosystem is a complex web of interconnected elements, each playing a crucial role in facilitating and profiting from cybercrime. At the heart of this ecosystem lie the hackers themselves, a diverse group with varying levels of skill, motivation, and resources. These actors rely on a vast array of tools and services, including malware, exploit kits, and botnets. These tools are often developed and traded on underground markets, hidden from the view of law enforcement and cybersecurity professionals. The cybercriminal ecosystem thrives on anonymity, with actors using pseudonyms, encrypted communications, and dark web marketplaces to shield their activities. Victims of cybercrime are just as diverse as the perpetrators themselves. Individuals, businesses, and governments are all potential targets, with the impact of cyber attacks ranging from financial losses and data breaches to disruption of critical infrastructure and national security threats. Understanding the motivations, methods, and resources of cybercriminals is paramount to developing effective strategies for prevention, mitigation, and response. The cybercriminal ecosystem is constantly evolving, adapting to new technologies and vulnerabilities. Law enforcement and cybersecurity professionals face an ongoing battle to stay ahead of the curve, dismantling criminal networks and disrupting their operations. However, the fight against cybercrime is not solely the responsibility of law enforcement. It requires a collective effort from individuals, businesses, and governments alike. The stakes in the fight against cybercrime have never been higher. As our reliance on technology grows, so too does our vulnerability to those who seek to exploit it. Cybercrime is no longer a distant threat. It is a clear and present danger that affects individuals, businesses, and governments worldwide. The economic impact of cybercrime is staggering, with global losses estimated in the trillions of dollars annually. Data breaches, ransomware attacks, and online fraud can cripple businesses, disrupt critical infrastructure, and erode public trust. Beyond the financial implications, cybercrime poses a significant threat to national security. State-sponsored actors increasingly utilize cyber attacks for espionage, sabotage, and to sow discord among adversaries. The theft of sensitive information, disruption of critical infrastructure, and spread of disinformation can have far-reaching consequences for national security and global stability. Understanding the evolving nature of cyber threats, the actors involved, and their methods is essential for developing effective strategies to combat this growing menace. This essay delves into the evolution of cybercrime, from its humble beginnings as playful pranks to its current state as a sophisticated global enterprise. We will explore the motivations and methods of cybercriminals, the tools and techniques they employ, and the impact of their actions on individuals, businesses, and governments. By shedding light on the dark underbelly of the digital world, we can better understand the threat we face and empower ourselves to take proactive steps to protect ourselves and our digital assets. The earliest days of hacking were marked by a spirit of exploration and a thirst for knowledge. Driven by curiosity rather than malice, these pioneers of the digital age saw the burgeoning world of computers as a new frontier ripe for discovery. The term hacker itself, far from its current negative connotations, was originally used to describe a skilled and innovative programmer, someone who could bend technology to their will in creative and unexpected ways. These early hackers were often driven by a desire to understand how things worked, to delve into the inner workings of complex systems and push the boundaries of what was possible. They saw themselves as digital explorers charting the uncharted territories of the digital world. This spirit of exploration was often accompanied by a strong sense of community. Early hackers formed online groups and forums, sharing knowledge and collaborating on projects. The exchange of information was free and open, driven by a shared passion for technology and a belief that knowledge should be freely accessible to all. This collaborative spirit, often referred to as the hacker ethic, emphasized creativity, innovation, and the free flow of information. It was a time of innocent exploration, where the potential consequences of hacking were rarely considered. The focus was on pushing the limits of technology, not on causing harm or seeking personal gain. This era of early hacking, while seemingly harmless in retrospect, laid the groundwork for the more complex and often malicious cyber threats we face today. It was in these early online communities that the first seeds of cybercrime were sown, as some individuals began to see the potential for exploiting vulnerabilities for personal gain. While early hackers were busy exploring the world of computers, another group of tech enthusiasts were focusing their attention on a different kind of network, the telephone system. These phone freaks were fascinated by the intricacies of telephone switching systems, using their technical prowess to explore the network, make free calls, and even reroute calls. One of the most iconic tools of the phone freak era was the blue box, a device that could generate tones used to control telephone switches. By using these tones, freakers could make free long-distance calls, eavesdrop on conversations, and even gain access to restricted telephone company services. Phone freaking was not without its legal ramifications. Law enforcement agencies began to crack down on freaking activities, leading to arrests and prosecutions. However, the phone freaking subculture persisted, fueled by a combination of technical curiosity, a desire to challenge authority, and the allure of free long-distance calls. The phone freaking era is a fascinating example of how early hackers were able to manipulate complex systems using relatively simple tools and techniques. While phone freaking itself may seem like a harmless prank, it laid the groundwork for more sophisticated forms of telecommunications fraud that would emerge in the years to come. Moreover, phone freaking demonstrated the vulnerability of critical infrastructure to hacking, a lesson that would become increasingly relevant as technology advanced. The skills and techniques developed by phone freakers would later be adapted and applied to computer networks, contributing to the evolution of hacking from a hobbyist pursuit to a serious threat. The emergence of bulletin board systems, or BBS, in the late 1970s marked a pivotal moment in the evolution of the hacker community. BBSs were essentially early versions of online forums, allowing users to connect with each other, share messages, and exchange files. For hackers, BBSs became virtual gathering places, providing a platform to share knowledge, collaborate on projects, and discuss their latest exploits. BBSs were often run by individuals or small groups operating out of homes or businesses. They were typically dedicated to specific topics such as technology, gaming, or music. The decentralized nature of BBSs, coupled with the limited reach of law enforcement in the early days of the internet, created a sense of anonymity and freedom for users. This fostered a culture of open exchange where information flowed freely and hackers could connect with like-minded individuals from all over the world. However, as the popularity of BBSs grew, so too did the diversity of their user base. What began as a niche community for tech enthusiasts gradually attracted a wider range of individuals, including those with less noble intentions. Some BBS became havens for hackers to share stolen data, trade illegal software, and discuss methods for exploiting vulnerabilities. The anonymity provided by these platforms made it difficult for law enforcement to track down criminals operating in the digital shadows. The rise of BBSs highlights the double-edged sword of technology. While these platforms facilitated the sharing of knowledge and fostered a sense of community, they also provided a breeding ground for cybercrime. The free flow of information, while essential for innovation, also allowed malicious actors to share techniques and collaborate on attacks. The BBS era marked a turning point where the lines between harmless hacking and criminal activity began to blur, setting the stage for the rise of organized cybercrime in the years to come. As the digital landscape expanded throughout the 1980s, a new breed of threat emerged, one that would forever change the face of cybersecurity malware. Unlike the relatively benign pranks of early hackers, malware was designed with malicious intent, aiming to disrupt computer systems, steal data, or cause widespread havoc. Among the earliest and most notorious forms of malware were viruses and worms. These self-replicating programs, often spread through infected floppy disks or early computer networks, could quickly infect entire systems, corrupting data and rendering computers unusable. The very nature of these early viruses and worms, relying on shared resources and interconnectedness to spread, exposed the inherent vulnerabilities of a rapidly expanding digital world. One of the earliest known computer viruses, the brain virus, emerged in 1986. Developed by two brothers from Pakistan, the virus spread through infected floppy disks, infecting the boot sector of IBM PCs and displaying a message urging users to contact the creators. While relatively harmless in its effects, the brain virus served as a wake-up call, demonstrating the potential for malicious code to spread rapidly and disrupt computer systems. The emergence of computer worms further amplified the threat of malware. Unlike viruses, which required human intervention to spread, worms could self-propagate across networks, exploiting vulnerabilities to infect connected systems without any user interaction. The Morris worm, released in 1988, exploited vulnerabilities in Unix-based systems, rapidly infecting thousands of computers connected to the internet, causing widespread disruption and highlighting the vulnerability of a growingly interconnected digital world. Section 2, From Curiosity to Criminal Intent, the Evolution of Malware Sophistication. While some early malware creators were motivated by curiosity or a desire to showcase their technical prowess, the allure of financial gain soon attracted more nefarious actors. As the internet grew, so too did the potential to exploit it for profit. Malware evolved from simple programs designed to cause mischief to sophisticated tools used for financial gain, espionage, and sabotage. Virus writers began to incorporate stealth techniques, encryption, and polymorphic code into their creations, making it more difficult for antivirus software to detect and remove them. The emergence of Trojans, named after the mythical Trojan horse, added another layer of deception. These malicious programs disguised themselves as legitimate software, tricking users into installing them and granting attackers unauthorized access to their systems. As malware became more sophisticated, so too did the methods used to distribute it. Email attachments, malicious websites, and social engineering techniques became common vectors for spreading malware, targeting unsuspecting users and exploiting human vulnerabilities. The rise of botnets, networks of infected computers controlled by a single attacker, further amplified the threat of malware. Botnets could be used to launch distributed denial-of-service attacks, send spam, or steal sensitive information on a massive scale, turning compromised computers into unwitting accomplices in criminal activities. The evolution of malware from simple viruses to sophisticated Trojans and botnets marked a significant shift in the cyber threat landscape. What began as a nuisance had transformed into a serious threat with the potential to disrupt businesses, steal sensitive information, and cause widespread financial losses. The days of harmless pranks were over, the era of cybercrime had truly begun. Section 3. The high cost of curiosity, collateral damage, and the rise of antivirus software. The proliferation of malware in the late 1980s and early 1990s had a profound impact on the computing world. No longer were isolated systems or academic networks the sole targets. Businesses, governments, and individuals were all becoming victims of this new breed of digital threat. The financial implications of malware attacks became increasingly apparent as businesses grappled with the costs of system downtime, data recovery, and reputational damage. The Michelangelo virus, discovered in 1991, caused an estimated $100 million in damages worldwide, highlighting the growing economic impact of malware. The Melissa virus, which spread rapidly via email attachments in 1999, disrupted businesses and government agencies around the globe, causing an estimated $80 million in damages. These high-profile incidents served as a stark reminder of the vulnerability of computer systems and the need for effective security measures. The rise of malware also led to the emergence of a new industry, antivirus software. Early antivirus programs relied on signature-based detection, comparing files against a database of known viruses to identify threats. As malware evolved, so too did antivirus software, incorporating heuristic analysis, behavioral monitoring, and other techniques to detect and block new and unknown threats. The battle between malware creators and security researchers became a constant game of cat and mouse, with each side striving to outmaneuver the other. The proliferation of malware and the emergence of antivirus software marked a turning point in the evolution of cybersecurity. It became clear that securing computer systems was no longer an optional extra, but an essential aspect of operating in an increasingly interconnected world. The days of carefree computing were over. Individuals and organizations alike had to confront the reality of a persistent and evolving cyber threat. The need for awareness, education, and proactive security measures became paramount in the fight against malware and the growing menace of cybercrime. Section 1. The rise of hacktivism. When keyboards become weapons of protest. The late 1990s and early 2000s witnessed a new breed of cyber actors emerge, one driven not by financial gain or personal notoriety, but by political and social agendas. This marked the rise of hacktivism. It's a form of digital activism where hacking techniques are employed to promote a particular cause or ideology. Hacktivists saw the internet as a powerful tool for amplifying their message, disrupting their opponents, and challenging traditional power structures. Their targets ranged from government agencies and corporations to media outlets and individuals perceived as hostile to their cause. Website defacement, a relatively simple act of replacing a website's content with a political message or image, became a common tactic, serving as a digital billboard for hacktivist causes. Denial of service attacks, designed to overwhelm websites and online services with traffic, rendering them inaccessible to legitimate users, emerged as another tool in the hacktivist arsenal. These attacks, while often disruptive, were typically short-lived and primarily aimed at causing temporary inconvenience rather than lasting damage. However, the impact of hacktivism extended beyond these relatively crude tactics. The leaking of sensitive information, often obtained through hacking, became a powerful tool for exposing corruption, hypocrisy, and wrongdoing. Hacktivists positioned themselves as digital whistleblowers, shining a light on injustices and holding powerful entities accountable for their actions. The emergence of hacktivism added a new layer of complexity to the cyber threat landscape. While not inherently criminal, hacktivism blurred the lines between legitimate protest and illegal hacking, sparking debates about freedom of speech, online activism, and the limits of acceptable behavior in the digital age. Anonymous, a hydra of hacktivism, decentralized, elusive, and unpredictable. No discussion of hacktivism would be complete without mentioning Anonymous, the decentralized and elusive collective that has become synonymous with the movement. Emerging from the depths of the image board 4chan in the mid-2000s, Anonymous defied traditional organizational structures, operating as a loosely affiliated network of individuals with shared beliefs and a penchant for mischief-making. Anonymous had no leaders, no formal membership, and no clear hierarchy. Anyone could claim to be a part of Anonymous, and actions were often coordinated through online forums and chat rooms, making it difficult to track down individuals or hold them accountable. This decentralized and fluid nature made Anonymous incredibly resilient and difficult to combat. Shutting down one communication channel only led to the emergence of others, and attempts to identify and prosecute individuals were often met with resistance from within the collective. Anonymous's tactics were as varied as its members, ranging from website defacement and DOS attacks to sophisticated data breaches and the leaking of sensitive information. Their targets were equally diverse, including government agencies, corporations, religious organizations, and individuals perceived as corrupt, hypocritical, or abusive. One of Anonymous's most notable early operations was Project Chanology in 2008, targeting the Church of Scientology. Anonymous members launched a series of protests, website defacements, and pranks against the church, protesting its practices and beliefs. This operation brought Anonymous into the public eye, showcasing the collective's ability to mobilize large numbers of people and cause significant disruption. The fine line hacktivism, cybercrime, and the debate over digital civil disobedience. The rise of hacktivism sparked a heated debate about the ethics of online activism and the limits of acceptable behavior in the digital age. Proponents of hacktivism argued that it was a legitimate form of protest, a way for individuals to make their voices heard and challenge powerful entities that often operated with impunity. They drew parallels to civil disobedience movements throughout history, arguing that breaking the law was sometimes necessary to achieve social justice and hold those in power accountable. Critics of hacktivism, however, argued that it was a form of cybercrime, plain and simple. They pointed out that even if motivated by noble intentions, hacktivist attacks could cause significant damage, disrupting businesses, compromising personal information, and undermining trust in online systems. Moreover, they argued that hacktivism often lacked accountability and transparency. The anonymity afforded by the internet made it difficult to determine the true motives of hacktivists, and the decentralized nature of groups like Anonymous made it challenging to engage in dialogue or hold individuals responsible for their actions. The debate over hacktivism highlighted the complexities of online activism and the challenges of balancing freedom of speech with the need to protect individuals, businesses, and critical infrastructure from cyber attacks. While the line between hacktivism and cybercrime may sometimes seem blurry, one thing is clear. The internet has become a powerful tool for both good and evil, and the actions of those who operate in the digital realm can have far-reaching consequences in the real world. As technology continues to evolve, the debate over online activism and the limits of acceptable behavior in cyberspace is likely to intensify, forcing us to grapple with fundamental questions about freedom, responsibility, and the nature of justice in the digital age. Cybercrime Inc., the rise of organized cybercriminal syndicates. While early forms of cybercrime were often the work of individuals or small groups, the allure of significant financial gain, with relative anonymity, attracted a more organized and sophisticated element. Criminal organizations, recognizing the lucrative potential of the digital world, began to invest heavily in cybercrime, establishing elaborate structures mirroring traditional organized crime syndicates. These cybercriminal syndicates operate with a level of sophistication that rivals legitimate businesses. They recruit skilled hackers, malware developers, and money launderers, offering them financial incentives and a sense of belonging within a structured organization. These syndicates often have clearly defined hierarchies, with leaders setting strategic goals, managers overseeing operations, and technicians carrying out the technical aspects of attacks. Communication is tightly controlled, often relying on encrypted messaging apps and anonymizing networks to evade law enforcement surveillance. The transition from lone wolf hackers to organized syndicates marked a turning point in the evolution of cybercrime. No longer were attacks opportunistic or driven solely by individual gain. These syndicates operated like multinational corporations, with business plans, risk assessments, and a focus on maximizing profits. They diversified their activities, engaging in a wide range of cybercrimes, from ransomware attacks and financial fraud to data theft and extortion. This shift towards organized cybercrime presented law enforcement and cybersecurity professionals with unprecedented challenges. Tracking down individual hackers was difficult enough, but dismantling sophisticated criminal networks operating across borders and jurisdictions required a coordinated and multifaceted approach. The rise of cybercriminal syndicates underscored the need for international cooperation, intelligence sharing, and innovative investigative techniques to combat this growing threat. From street corners to servers, the evolution of cybercrime as a service. The emergence of cybercrime as a service, or KAS models, further democratized cybercrime, making sophisticated hacking tools and services accessible to individuals with limited technical skills. Just as legitimate businesses offer software as a service products, cybercriminals began offering their expertise and tools on a subscription or pay-per-use basis. This commoditization of cybercrime lowered the barrier to entry for aspiring criminals, enabling even those with minimal technical knowledge to launch sophisticated attacks. KAS offerings range from basic tools like DDoS for hire services that allow anyone to launch denial-of-service attacks for a small fee, to more advanced offerings like ransomware as a service, where criminals can rent or purchase pre-built ransomware strains and infrastructure for carrying out attacks. Some KAS providers even offer technical support and customer service, guiding their clients through the process of launching attacks and maximizing their profits. The evolution of KAS has had a profound impact on the cyber threat landscape. It has led to a surge in the number of cyber attacks, as individuals with limited resources and technical skills can now access sophisticated tools and services previously available only to experienced hackers. This has also made it more difficult to attribute attacks and track down the perpetrators. With KAS, the individuals carrying out the attacks may be nothing more than hired hands, operating on behalf of someone else, often located in a different jurisdiction. The rise of KAS highlights the need for law enforcement and cybersecurity professionals to adapt their strategies, focusing not only on apprehending individual hackers, but also on disrupting the KAS ecosystem that enables them. The price of admission, the commoditization of cybercrime tools and expertise. The proliferation of cybercrime tools and services on underground markets has led to a dramatic decrease in their cost, making them accessible to a wider range of criminals. Just as the price of legitimate technology has declined over time, the same forces of supply and demand have driven down the cost of hacking tools, stolen data, and cybercriminal expertise. What once required significant financial investment or technical skills can now be acquired for a fraction of the cost, often using cryptocurrencies to maintain anonymity. This commoditization of cybercrime has had several significant consequences. Firstly, it has lowered the barrier to entry for aspiring criminals, allowing individuals with limited resources to enter the cybercrime arena. This has contributed to the rise of script kiddies, individuals with minimal technical skills who rely on pre-built tools and scripts to carry out attacks. Secondly, the low cost of cybercrime tools and services has made them more attractive to established criminal organizations who can now outsource their cyber operations to specialized groups or individuals at a fraction of the cost of building their own capabilities. This has led to a blurring of the lines between traditional organized crime and cybercrime, as criminal networks leverage both physical and digital means to achieve their goals. The commoditization of cybercrime has also made it more challenging for law enforcement and cybersecurity professionals to combat. With tools and services readily available at low cost, disrupting one criminal operation may have little impact on the overall cyber threat landscape, as new actors can quickly emerge to fill the void. This highlights the need for a multi-pronged approach to cybersecurity, focusing not only on apprehending criminals but also on educating potential victims, promoting cybersecurity best practices and fostering international cooperation to address the root causes of cybercrime. nation-state actors, cyber warfare, and the geopolitics of cyberspace. As cybercrime evolved from the work of individual actors and criminal organizations to a global enterprise, nation-states around the world recognized the strategic significance of cyberspace. No longer simply a domain for communication and commerce, cyberspace emerged as a new battleground, where countries could project power, conduct espionage, and wage war without firing a single shot. Cyber warfare, the use of digital attacks to disrupt or damage the infrastructure or economy of an adversary, became a key component of national security strategies. Governments invested heavily in developing offensive and defensive cyber capabilities, recruiting skilled hackers, developing sophisticated malware, and establishing dedicated cyber warfare units within their militaries and intelligence agencies. The motivations behind nation-state cyber attacks are as diverse as the countries that engage in them. Espionage, the theft of sensitive information from adversaries, has always been a key driver of international conflict, and cyberspace provides a fertile ground for stealing secrets. Countries also engage in cyber attacks for sabotage, seeking to disrupt critical infrastructure such as power grids, financial systems, and communication networks to weaken their opponents or gain a strategic advantage. Disinformation campaigns aimed at manipulating public opinion, sowing discord, and undermining trust in democratic institutions have also become a common tactic in the digital age. The emergence of nation-state actors in cyberspace has significantly raised the stakes of the cyber threat landscape. Attacks by well-funded and highly skilled government hackers can have devastating consequences, disrupting critical infrastructure, compromising national security, and destabilizing international relations. Section 2, Espionage, Sabotage and Disinformation, the arsenal of digital warfare. The tools and techniques employed by nation-state actors in cyberspace are as diverse as their motivations, ranging from sophisticated malware and zero-day exploits to social engineering and disinformation campaigns. Espionage remains a primary objective of many nation-state cyber attacks, with governments seeking to steal military secrets, diplomatic cables, intellectual property, and other sensitive information from their adversaries. Cyber espionage campaigns are often characterized by their stealth and persistence. Attackers may spend months or even years inside a target network, quietly exfiltrating data without raising suspicion. Sabotage is another key objective of nation-state cyber attacks. By targeting critical infrastructure, such as power grids, financial systems, and communication networks, attackers can cause significant disruption, economic damage, and even loss of life. One of the most high-profile examples of cyber sabotage was the Stuxnet attack, a sophisticated worm discovered in 2010 that targeted Iranian nuclear facilities. Stuxnet is believed to have been a joint operation by the United States and Israel, and it is estimated to have set back Iran's nuclear program by several years. Disinformation campaigns aimed at manipulating public opinion and sowing discord have become an increasingly common tactic in the digital age. These campaigns often leverage social media platforms to spread false or misleading information, exploit existing social divisions, and undermine trust in democratic institutions. The 2016 US presidential election highlighted the potential impact of foreign interference in elections through disinformation campaigns, raising concerns about the integrity of democratic processes in the digital age. Section 3, the fog of cyber war, attribution, deterrence, and the future of conflict. The nature of cyber warfare presents unique challenges for attribution, deterrence, and international cooperation. Unlike traditional warfare, where the movement of troops and equipment provides clear evidence of aggression, cyber attacks can be launched from anywhere in the world, often using compromised computers in other countries to obscure the attacker's true location and identity. This makes it difficult to definitively attribute attacks to specific actors, which can hinder efforts to hold perpetrators accountable and deter future aggression. The difficulty of attribution also complicates deterrence in cyberspace. In traditional warfare, the threat of retaliation is a powerful deterrent, but the anonymity afforded by cyberspace makes it difficult for countries to credibly threaten retaliation without risking escalation. This has led to a situation where some countries may feel emboldened to engage in cyber attacks, knowing that the risks of attribution and retaliation are relatively low. The evolving nature of cyber warfare has also highlighted the need for international cooperation to establish norms of behavior in cyberspace, develop mechanisms for attributing attacks, and deter aggression. However, achieving consensus on these issues has proven difficult, as countries have different interpretations of international law and their own strategic interests in cyberspace. The future of conflict is likely to be characterized by a blurring of the lines between peace and war, with cyberspace becoming an increasingly contested domain. As technology continues to evolve, so too will the tools and techniques of cyber warfare, requiring constant adaptation and innovation from governments, cybersecurity professionals, and individuals alike to mitigate the growing threat. Section 1. The digital battlefield navigating the evolving cyber threat landscape. The digital world, once imagined as a realm of limitless possibility and connection, has become a complex and often treacherous landscape. What began with the playful pranks of curious minds has evolved into a global battleground where nation-states, criminal organizations, and individual actors vie for power, profit, and influence. From the early days of phone phreaking and virus writing to the rise of sophisticated cybercriminal syndicates and nation-state cyber warfare, we have witnessed a dramatic escalation in the scale, sophistication, and impact of cyber threats. The tools and techniques employed by malicious actors are constantly evolving, exploiting vulnerabilities in our interconnected systems and preying on human weaknesses. What was once the domain of tech-savvy enthusiasts has become a multi-billion-dollar industry, with cybercrime as a service models making sophisticated hacking tools and expertise available to anyone with an internet connection and malicious intent. The consequences of this digital arms race are all too real. Businesses face crippling ransomware attacks and data breaches, governments grapple with cyber espionage and disinformation campaigns, and individuals find their privacy violated and their identities stolen. The economic and social costs of cybercrime are staggering, eroding trust in institutions, undermining national security, and hindering innovation. Section 2. Empowering our future, a call to action in the age of cyber insecurity. In the face of this evolving threat, complacency is not an option. Protecting ourselves and our digital assets requires a collective effort, one that encompasses individuals, businesses, and governments working together to create a more secure and resilient digital world. Cybersecurity awareness is paramount. We must educate ourselves and others about the risks we face online, adopt strong passwords and multi-factor authentication, be wary of phishing scams, and keep our software and operating systems up to date. Businesses must prioritize cybersecurity, investing in robust security measures, training employees on best practices, and developing incident response plans to mitigate the impact of attacks. Governments play a critical role in fostering a secure and resilient cyberspace. This includes investing in research and development of cybersecurity technologies, promoting international cooperation to combat cybercrime, and establishing clear norms of behavior in cyberspace to deter aggression. Law enforcement agencies must be equipped with the resources and expertise to investigate and prosecute cybercriminals, while also working to dismantle the cybercriminal infrastructure that enables these activities. Beyond these practical measures, we must engage in a broader conversation about the ethical implications of our increasingly interconnected world. What are the limits of acceptable behavior in cyberspace? How do we balance freedom of speech with the need to protect against online harassment and disinformation? How do we ensure that the benefits of technology are shared equitably, and that everyone has the opportunity to participate in the digital economy safely and securely? The challenges posed by cyber threats are complex and multifaceted, but they are not insurmountable. By embracing a spirit of collaboration, fostering a culture of cybersecurity awareness, and engaging in thoughtful dialogue about the ethical dimensions of our digital lives, we can empower ourselves to navigate the evolving cyber threat landscape and create a more secure and prosperous future for all.